Welcome to the second season of The Dark Art of Drawing, and thank you for watching. This first episode will focus on sigils and two different options for how to construct them. There are various ways to create a sigil. These are just a couple that I've found to work well in the forms they make. But first, I think it's important to know the history of an art form in order to do it well, so I'd like to share a bit of research about the sources our modern sigils have come from. The origins begin with the arrival of hieroglyphs. The use of hieroglyphic writing arose from the proto-literate symbol systems of the early Bronze Age around the 32nd century BCE, with the first decipherable sentence written in the Egyptian language dating to the 2nd dynasty, or the 28th century BCE. With the final closing of pagan temples in the 5th century, knowledge of hieroglyphic writing was lost. Although attempts were made, the script remained undeciphered through the Middle Ages and the early modern period, finally translated in the 1820s. The other main influence on sigils was the Greek language. The Greek alphabet has been used to write the Greek language since the late 9th or early 8th century BCE. It is derived from the earlier Phoenician alphabet and was the first alphabetic script in history to have distinct letters for vowels as well as consonants. The use of both vowels and consonants makes Greek the first alphabet in a narrow sense, as distinguished from early Semitic languages which only have letters for consonants. After the use of symbols for words and the first alphabet, it didn't take long for pagan symbolism to collaborate with practitioners of the occult. The Lesser Key of Solomon, also known as Clavicula Solomonis Regis, is an anonymous grimoire or demonology. It was compiled in the mid-17th century, mostly from materials a couple centuries older. It is divided into 5 books: Ars Goetia, Ars Thurgia Goetia, Ars Paulina, Ars Almadel, Ars Notoria. I'll politely refuse to apologize for any mispronunciations, as the original authors are neither known or likely to still be around to contest. An artist and occultist by the name of Austin Osman Spare popularized many of the sigil forms we see today, and became the basis for the ideology of chaos magic. Some of Spare's techniques, particularly the use of sigils and the creation of an alphabet of desire, were adopted, adapted, and popularized by authors like Peter Carroll and Kenneth Grant. Zos Key Occultus was a term coined by Grant with different meanings for different people, which was a style or school of magic inspired by Spare. Sigils have even made their way into pop culture and industry today. Take the Apple logo and subsequent tagline, clearly a pictogram for knowledge, which in the Bible was apparently forbidden. Nike is another example, which is derived from the ancient Greek goddess of the same name, pronounced Nike. Lastly, the Google Play logo has unfounded rumors around it as being inspired by the sigil of Lucifer. And I have to admit, it does line up quite nicely. The world may never know. The first variant on a method for creating sigils is structured as an alphabetic grid, with 5 rows and 5 columns. This will leave the letter Z to share the same position with the letter Y, but you can usually use them interchangeably. Sigils are often used to denote something the creator desires. Gustave Doré, while the common use of his images might be arguably excessive, the artistic influence of them on Satanism has been iconic, due to his surgical technique and skills in the art of printmaking. I'd like to embody the kind of patience it would have taken to create his art, so I'll use his name as an example. Next, draw lines from each of the letters, connecting them in the order of the spelling, one word at a time. You're more than welcome to use multiple words, but those sigils can reach a point of difficult complexity. One small point of advice, you can reuse your alphabet grid by drawing the word forms with different colors. This makes them much easier to decipher later. After you've connected the letters, you'll see common shapes forming from the lines. Use a little creative license to correct any awkward spots, or, like I did with the second character, use the idea of the shape to make something a little better composed. One way you can add a bit of detail to your sigils is to draw small circles at the end of your lines. Try not to go overboard, but get creative. I'll give you a moment to tweak your new sigils. The second method involves a word or a phrase, removing the vowels to give it a more ancient vibe, and using the main forms of the remaining letters to create interesting shapes, resulting in a sigil. I found that starting from a point of symmetry is helpful to develop this structure method. And simultaneously, it seems that making a sigil entirely symmetrical can lead to a more sterile look. It's okay to overlap your lines as well. In fact, you can place your shapes and lines anywhere you want because this is your art. Using more oddly shaped letters can be tricky. Break them apart, flip them upside down or backwards, or simplify them to your preferences. Another way to finish off your lines are serifs, or little feet, at the ends. You can leave them as lines, or make them more triangular, or even bring the line in from the end and make it a cross. This can be helpful if you want to employ the inverted option. Also, as a quick cheat, I used a circle around my sigil to give it some closure. Thanks for watching this tutorial. You may need to view the steps a few times to get it right, but the most important thing is that you have fun creating new art, while also focusing on your personal well-being. If you happen to make a sigil or two of your own, feel free to share them on Twitter or Instagram and tag the show with your creations at Dark Art TV. Hail Satan and hail yourself.